The student details module assists you to capture the student details that you have in your institution, and this you do by selecting the new button and adding the student details, where you have the student number, the surname of the student, and the other names of the student. You can also include the date of admission, the class level, the courses, and the course that the student is doing. You will also be able to add the contact person and the telephone number of the contact person. Once this is done, you save the details. Now, also on this student details module, you have a module that will assist you in finding the student details. And this module, you can filter whatever you're searching for by the student number or the surname or the other names. The beauty of this is that for the selection that you have taken, you do not need to input the entire details. For example, as you can see on the value entry point, I can just add MOH, and I'll be able to find all the students whose surname start with MOH by selecting that particular student's details, double clicking. I will get this module showing the details of the student, where now I can be able to edit the student details. The security levels of this module does not allow the person who is doing this, that is dependent on the settings, to be able to change the student number, because by changing the student number, the entire record changes to the new student number. Once you've finished updating the student details, you click on the update button, and those details will be saved. To invoice an entire class of students, when we select the class level invoicing, the module that is presented, for example, if we select a class from the list of classes that we have, this module which shows classes for, let's select this unit, this class. This class stands for Bachelor of Business Management 2014 September intake. We get a list of the students who are in this class, and all of them, and in the list we have checkboxes to indicate that they are all selected. We can unselect all and just pick a few from the class, or we can decide to check them all back again. When you select just a few on this list, it means that the others that are not selected will not be invoiced. Now on this, we can add the details that we want to invoice these students. For example, we can have this information. Please note that once you have selected an item, it cannot be repeated. You will be notified about this by the application. So let's do this as an example, that we want to enter the student's ID charges. By doing that, we get the notification that the invoice item already exists in the list. So we can choose another item altogether, leave it out. And once it is in the list, a total sum is shown. For any mistake that you have done while entering the items on the list, you can select an item and remove it from the list, and it will be calculated automatically. After doing this, we can process the invoice, and we'll get the notification that the invoice data has been saved. This application also presents you with the invoicing module, where the invoicing module, you can invoice a single student or a class where there are several students. I will show you the single student module, where on this module, when we select a student, for example, and we select the student, the details that we are going to invoice. For example, here we have several invoice items. I will choose examination for the academic year 2016-2017, which will be an amount of 600. We add to the list of items that we're invoicing. You notice that after we have input that item, we can add another item. Let's say activity, to charge this at 300 shillings. These items are all summed up to give a total figure, and after doing that, we process the invoice. We'll get a notification that the invoice data has been saved, and that's it. Once invoicing has been done, then you can go and process the payments. But on some occasions, a payment can be made without invoicing, and this we'll do by selecting the deposit to account, where the payment will be held and allocated to invoicing when invoicing is done. But today I will show you on how to do payments on an invoice. Payments are done per student, and on special occasions where you get payments, say from HELB or a sponsor who is paying for many students, a module that will enable you to upload that payment to multiple students will be used. But today I will show you payments for a single student. We'll pick the student that we had used earlier. And we had invoiced the student several items. the amount paid is the amount that the student has presented, and we can say that say the student has paid 20,000 shillings. There is nothing in the suspense account. This is also what happens to if you deposit to account. The amount will be displayed at this position and it will total up so that you can be able to allocate that payment. Please note that on this module it requires that the tuition fee, which is mandatory for many institutions, to be paid first. So this is what will be allocated first. In this case we have 20,000 paid, and that will cover tuition fee. If we allocate, we make the payment to the tuition fee, the entire amount becomes allocated and we can no longer be able to make these selections. After we've done that, we can save the payment and we'll be notified about that. We will go back to payment by this student. After you've made that selection to save, a facility for printing this detail will be presented, where now you can send this to your printer. Either you have papers designed for a LaserJet or the dot matrix printer. If we go back to payments by this student, you'll notice that there is the balance that is required. We shall process the entire balance of 12,750. You will see that now we are able to select the items that need to be paid for, and once all the money has been allocated, we will have these two fields. Let us now see what happens after you have done the invoicing and the payments for a particular student. We get a report, a student statement that can be issued to the student or the sponsor of the student. We can view this statement. That will show the details of this particular student, showing the balances that are required to be paid for. Also on the reporting section we can get collections. You can see a report for collections. You can see balances per class. We can see the overpayments, and we can also reprint a receipt by a particular student in case it has been requested for.